let's take a minute and talk about love. There are so many directions we can go in this, so many scriptures, so many revelations, but I like to camp out in Ephesians chapter 3, verses 16 to 19. It's a New Testament prayer. It's a biblical prayer. It's one of our all-time favorite prayers to pray in our prayer room here in Kansas City. Probably been prayed thousands and thousands of times. Ephesians chapter 3, verses 16 to 19. It says that we would be strengthened with all might and power through his Spirit in our inner man, that Christ would dwell in our hearts through faith, that we would be rooted and grounded in love, that we would be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the height and width and length and depth of the love of Christ, that we would be filled with all the fullness of God. And that is such a packed prayer. Like, there's no way we're going to be able to unpack all of that just in this video. But here's some key points that I think of. One, that we would be strengthened with might. I think of that we would be strengthened in our spirit to love God and to obey God. There's a phrase that someone said that we can't love God without knowing his love for us first. And so it starts with knowing his love for us, that we would be able to give that back to God. And so that's where it all starts. Lord, I ask that you would cause me to know your love. And whether you're a new believer, whether you've been in the faith for a decade or two, or you've been running this race for a long time, there's no day like today to ask to be refreshed in the love of God, to know his love, and to be washed in that, knowing that he not only loves us from a distance, like he tolerates us, but he comes close. He delights in us. He likes us. He enjoys us. And then when I think of the second part of that verse, the first part, strengthen with might, the second part, that we would be able to comprehend the love of God for one another. And that's really the second commandment, as we know. And that second commandment we can't do without the first commandment. It starts with knowing his love. But that second commandment is also a supernatural work of the Spirit. We can't love the people in our life without knowing his delight over us. And the prayer that we've been praying a lot here is, Lord, I want to see what you see and feel what you feel about the person on my team, or the person in my house, or the person in my small group, and the person that might irritate you the most, or is the most frustrating, or is the most quirky in their personality. I think the Lord is inviting you this week to get a fresh perspective on them, a fresh narrative on them, to get past the quirkiness or the frustration or maybe even the offense or the brokenness in the relationship, and to reach for what God sees about that person and to pray it and to ask God to show you more and more of his delight, of his reach for even that person that might be difficult in your life. So let's meditate on that this week. As we're closing out 2020, let's go into 2021 with strength, that we would be washed in the love of God and that we would know his love for one another in a deeper way.